If you're a skincare formulator, you know there is a whole universe of ingredients out there. And today, we're going to dive into one of the most exciting, but let's be real, one of the most overwhelming areas: lipid oils. For formulators, it's this whole jungle of common names, trade names, and then you have the INCI name. That's the super important, standardized name that lets you know exactly what you're working with. If you've ever felt a little lost in all that, yeah, you know the feeling. I mean, it is a dense jungle of ingredients out there, and the choices just feel completely endless. You've got things like acai oil and baobab oil, cacao seed oil. How about kukui nut oil? Of course, the super popular marula oil. Then you get into exotic butters like murmur, prakasi oil, sacha inchi oil, tamani oil, all the way to Eximia oil. And trust me, that is barely even scratching the surface. So where do you even start? Seriously, there are over 160 cataloged lipid oils out there. And that's not just a big number, you know? It can feel like a real barrier to getting creative. But what if there was a way to see through all that noise? A way to turn that feeling of being totally overwhelmed into a feeling of, well, empowered discovery? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Think of it like creating a map for an expedition. The secret isn't about memorizing every single oil out there. That's impossible. It's about building a framework, a kind of mental map that helps you understand any oil you come across. And here it is. This is our map. It's a super simple 3-step framework. First, you just identify the source of the oil. Where did it come from? A fruit? A nut? A seed? That right there puts it in a box. Second, you compare what's familiar with what's exotic to start building connections. And third, once you've got that context, you can really start to explore all the possibilities. So let's put this thing into action. Okay, first stop on our expedition. We're heading to the oils that come from the flesh of fruits or the kernels of nuts. These are often some of the most foundational, well-known oils that we use in formulations. So let's start with a really popular one, marula oil. It's famous for having this lovely light texture, but it's packed with benefits, and it comes from the kernel of the marula fruit. But right here is where our map gets way more detailed and way more useful. We can connect that common name, marula oil, to its scientific name, Sclerocarya. Now, this is the language of precision. This is what formulators use to make absolutely sure they're getting the right ingredient every single time. Let's do another one so you can really see the pattern here. I mean, this one's a giant in the skincare world. Argan oil. It's everywhere, famous for hair and skincare, and it comes from the kernel of the argan tree's nut. And there it is again! The familiar name argan oil connects directly to its unique scientific ID, Argania spinosa. Knowing this difference is absolutely crucial for sourcing ingredients and for formulation accuracy. All right, let's journey to a whole new region on our map, the world of seeds. You know, seeds are just incredible. They are literally the starting point of a new plant, which means they are often these concentrated little powerhouses of unique fatty acids and all sorts of other amazing compounds. A total classic from this category is rosehip seed oil. It's celebrated for its skin regenerative properties, and it's extracted, of course, from the seeds of a very specific type of rose. So, if we follow our map, rosehip seed oil translates to Rosa rubianosa. See? This isn't just about learning boring names. It's about speaking the precise language of botany and chemistry. And this is the foundation. But now let's see where it gets really, really cool. Okay, this is my favorite part. This is where our map starts to feel like a secret decoder ring. Once you start categorizing oils by their source and their scientific name, you start to see these amazing hidden connections. You can see whole families of oils and actually understand how they're related. Let me show you a fantastic example. So check this out. Look at these 4 really common oils: apricot kernel oil, cherry kernel oil, peach kernel oil, and plum kernel oil. They all seem pretty different, right? But their scientific names tell a secret. Look, they all start with prunus. That's because they're all part of the same botanical family. They're all stone fruits. And what that tells a formulator is that they might share some core properties, which means they could be amazing substitutes for each other or even complementary partners in a blend. How cool is that? So let's circle all the way back to that big number from the start, 164. Now that we have our map, does that number still seem so overwhelming? Or does it look more like a world of 164 opportunities? 164 potential ingredients just waiting for you to discover them and combine them in brand new, creative ways. Because that's the whole goal of having a map, right? With this simple framework, identifying the source, comparing the familiar, and looking for those connections, that vast, intimidating jungle of lipid oils totally transforms into an exciting territory, a landscape that's just ripe for exploration. It really puts the power back in your hands as the creator. So the only question I have left is, with this map and a whole world of ingredients at your fingertips, what are you going to create?